Today on Ministry Monday, I'm speaking to Dr. Benham. How are you today?
I am well, Amanda. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me here on your Ministry Monday podcast.
I am glad to have you. Now, as we start, how would you like me to address you? Is Steve okay, or Dr.
Yes,
Benham?
Steve would be preferred. Thank you very much.
Okay. I will say this. I know when we first started working together a couple months ago, you and I played for a wedding, and I'm so used to my colleagues talking to you about you because they were music education majors when I went to school at Duquesne University, that I was very aware that you're Dr. Benham. Like,
Oh my goodness.
Dr. Benham is the name. So it's nice to call you just Steve.
Thank you. And I'm not in the least offended. I actually will be more comfortable if you do. So
Okay, great. So for the listeners, if they don't know, would you mind just kind of sharing a little bit about yourself?
sure. I have been teaching at Duquesne for 20 years. This is my 21st year.
Hey.
And yeah, so that's an exciting milestone. I'm not a Pittsburgh native, moved here to come to Duquesne and immediately fell in love with the city and the university. I did not expect, having never been to Pittsburgh, I did not expect anything other than a dark, dreary, coal, fire-filled, smoke-inhabited city, which of course it hasn't been that way for decades. It's a vibrant city with a huge cultural district and a huge art scene and communities that are young and growing and developing. And it's got a huge youth and or youthful contingent of people moving in with tech and industries and healthcare. It's an amazing city to live in and a great environment. And then to be at Duquesne, located here in the heart of Pittsburgh, and to know the mission of Duquesne, I immediately fell in love with the school. Probably the best part for me were the students. I did not know about the quality of the students that we would encounter at Duquesne, and I've been able to visit lots of other institutions, but the quality of the student body at Duquesne was at the very top. And not just in terms of the quality of the individuals, but their musical preparation, their willingness, even in music education and instrumental music education, to sing and to participate and to learn. And just the enthusiasm that they brought to their studies was, frankly, just motivated me to be a better teacher and work with high quality colleagues here at the School of Music, people who are visionary, people who are outstanding musicians and are very student centered. And so I'm proud to be a member of the faculty here and to have worked here for 20 years. Specifically, my main area is music education, right? I'm a professor of music education, and my responsibilities focus primarily in terms of teaching in the music education field in the area of string music education. But I have enjoyed for almost a decade the opportunity to serve in administrative roles within the school. So at one point, I was the director of graduate studies, and then that morphed into an associate dean position. And I served in that position for 3 years. And then the last couple of years, I decided the continuous associate dean was not what I wanted to do. And I enjoyed the job. I got positive feedback, but it just wasn't the right fit for me. And so the school very graciously said, we appreciate the work that you've done. And I'm really grateful to say that Dr. Rachel Whitcomb now serves in that position, and she is amazing. She is doing stunning work, and we are a better school because of it. So, and then a couple of years ago, David Allen Ware, who had been the performance department chair, became our dean, and I was able to step into the performance department chair. So I'm a music education professor with a decade of administrative experience. Right now serving as the performance department chair. I do teach string pedagogy with Charles Stegman for performance majors, but it's a real privilege for me to work together with our amazing teachers in the performance area. We've got more than 50 faculty, full-time and adjuncts who are in the performance department, and some high quality world-class teacher, artist, performers. So I've been doing this position now for a couple of years and enjoy it. And it's within that particular role that I've had the opportunity to be one of the team that crafted the Bachelor of Music and Music Ministry degree program. Kind of the vision for that began several years ago when Dr. Seth Beckman was the dean at the Mary Pappert School of Music, and he helped catalyze the people together to create a team to work on this degree. And of course, Dr. Ann Labunsky, who has been involved with sacred music at Duquesne for more than 50 years.
Wow.
We celebrated her 50th anniversary a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
She had a huge hand in this and was one of the leaders in saying it's time to do this. So that's been a part of kind of our goal, and COVID interrupted that, some of the process and the timing on that. But I'm really pleased that the degree was approved by the university and was accredited by our accrediting association, the National Association of Schools of Music, in July. You might say, what's a music ed guy? Why is he so passionate about music ministry? Well, I grew up in a family that was heavily involved in music ministry. My earliest church memories are watching my mom play piano in the church and my dad conducting the church choir and leading music. And so it's always been a part of my personal life. And for many years, I've had the privilege of being involved in worship ministry and music ministry at our churches. And I cannot remember a year when I've ever not been involved with making music, whether it's been leading a choir or playing on a worship team or playing special music. That's just been a part of life. And so that for me is something I'm passionate about. And I've observed the churches as they've changed from very traditional to incorporating more contemporary or modern approaches to music and to worship. And I've seen some of the conflicts over worship styles firsthand, and feel that we as a church can do better sometimes. I know many churches are navigating that well, but it's caused, of course, great challenges in other congregations. So that's a little bit about me. How does one encompass 5 decades of life in a couple of minutes? I don't know, but I am passionate about worship, arts, and music in ministry, and it's just part of my own life and ministry as well, and service. So music education, music ministry, they are very intertwined.
So before we go into the specifics of the degree, first off, you mentioned it, but I'd like us to just kind of name it at the beginning.
Sure.
Today we're talking about the Bachelor of Music degree from Duquesne University that will be offered starting in the fall of 22, correct? Is that correct? Okay.
That's exactly right, Amanda. Yeah, we are already have had our first applicants for the program, even though we didn't start formally advertising it until this fall. And it will begin with the first class in the fall of 2022, so next fall. And we are calling it a Bachelor of Music, Music Ministry emphasis, though it also gets listed as Bachelor of Music and Music Ministry, which is how the NASM lists it. But it is a full Bachelor of Music degree with all that is encompassed in that, all the history, theory, applied lessons, performing opportunities, and so on.
So big picture here, Bachelor of Music and Music Ministry. What are some of the objectives for the overall degree?
Sure. And that's a great question, right? Because when you start thinking about something like this, you have to think, is there a problem that needs to be addressed? Or as I say in Pittsburgh, a problem that needs addressed. So a problem that needs to be addressed, right? And the answer is absolutely. We have had in the last several years, so many churches contacting Dr. Labunsky or me saying, we have an unfilled music ministry position. Can you recommend somebody? And the answer has been, there aren't a lot of people going out there. And we also are finding that a lot of music ministry degrees focus at sacred music at the master's level or beyond that. We believe strongly that there is an opportunity to provide a high quality professional program to prepare students for a career in music ministry. Um, Duquesne's student body is quite diverse. We are a Catholic institution, but our student body is from many different Christian traditions and other faith traditions as well. And some of our students come from churches with traditional liturgical practices, and some come from those that have very contemporary styles of worship. And our goal with this program is to prepare students to work in multiple traditions, because there are churches as well that may have 2 or 3 different types of worship services. I'm aware of some large congregations that have a traditional service, a contemporary service. They may have what they call an emergent service, Taisa service, and things like that. And so that is something that we did not feel was being addressed sufficiently within Catholic higher education. We did do a survey of where worship is, music is taking place, music education is taking place in Catholic higher education. And there aren't a whole lot of institutions that have a music performance degree, especially one with music ministry. Most of the music programs in Catholic higher education are a Bachelor of Arts degree, which is the broadest degree program in music, and it focuses the least on performance, though that can be a component of it. But that's more the tradition that we see. So we wanted to fill a void. We also see that there are a lot of institutions in the Protestant or evangelical traditions that do have music ministry programs. But we think from our research that that Duquesne is the only institution that will offer a Bachelor of Music in music ministry. Now, we could be wrong in that, and so I ask my apologies if there's any program that I don't know about. But we feel we just know from the job openings that are here in our region that there aren't enough well-trained, qualified people to lead. We also want to provide support for those churches where there are lay ministry leaders or people who want to get more training, but simply there's not a program to go to for that. And so our goal is to help that as well, support people in that. So the job shortage is part of that. We also feel strongly that students who are going to be musicians, we have a belief that we want to honor God with our best, right? We want to bring our best gifts, and we want to study and to prepare. We don't want to eliminate anybody from participating in music in a church, but we also want to encourage people to be trained in the same way that our pastors and priests have theological training. We want our musicians to have that. And so our students will have the full core curriculum in music. That means, and I mentioned, I think a minute ago, all of the musicianship courses, all of the oral skills courses, that will be part of what they do. They will take applied lessons on their primary instrument. They will have conducting classes. They will have choral rehearsal techniques classes. They will have service leading labs or service performing labs, worship leading labs. And if they're not a singer, and a lot of people interested in ministry might play piano or keyboard or guitar or another instrument, voice lessons will be a part of that, regardless of your major. A piano or keyboard or organ lessons can be a component of what you do. Knowing how to play on the guitar is something that's important in a variety of settings. And even if it's not necessarily a formal service, it could be beneficial for youth ministry. It can be beneficial for a retreat situation and things like that. We also believe that, and COVID has revealed this, and Amanda, here you and I are on a podcast on Zoom, right? That's become life. It's been hard on many levels, but it's also allowed us to have a broader scope. But a lot of churches were not prepared to deal with technology. And we found out in the last year and a half that there is I mentioned broader scope, a broader reach for many churches to those who are shut in, to the elderly, to people who are traveling, to places where there aren't congregations internationally where they can hear a live stream service. And it's one thing to take a video and simply put that on YouTube, but to make it sound good and to look good is another challenge. And so We feel that, and have felt that as we designed this program, that preparation in music technology was a key component. And so our students will have training as it relates to music ministry and the use of digital audio workstations, notation software, technology for video production and streaming, and other related skills. So they'll have 4 courses that are part of a music technology program. It's not enough to get a minor, but it can almost serve as like a little certificate in that way. One of the other kind of concerns that has been expressed, and I've heard this at worship conferences and music conferences, is that we have people who go into music ministry with good musical preparation sometimes, but no theological preparation. And we felt strongly that having a theological component was really important for the people going into music ministry. And we have really enjoyed our conversations with the theology department at Duquesne, and find out that we are able to offer a minor in theology to our students as part of this. So we see that we believe that the music minister should be able to speak the language of the priest, or speak the language of the pastor, or the minister or theologian, in addition to speaking the language of music. And so as we look at this program and the specifics of it, I think we've got 6 courses in theology that, range from theology of ministry to churches and cultural context, or Jesus in the visual arts, religion, media, and pop culture. It's a really diverse program. And again, students will be able to take many of those courses over in the theology department with our world-class theology professors. So that's a big deal. And then I would just say we want to. This program is culturally relevant, right? It's contextual, and so we know that the church, the active church, addresses areas of need, areas of social justice as well. And so there is a social justice component to this program. And we believe that the music minister is a part of a local community and is heavily involved in outreach programs or serving the poor. And certainly we have actually already had interest from Africa in this degree program with students who want to be able to be trained in music ministry, but then return to their home and to work in their local parishes and congregations. And then finally, what I would say is we see strong possibilities to integrate with local congregations. There will be significant field experiences, practica, and internships with local congregations. And I've already had individuals from various parishes and churches contacting me saying, we would love to host a student from Duquesne as part of this. And again, across the spectrum, Catholic, Baptist, Presbyterian, Lutheran, just to name the 4 that immediately come to mind. So we have the facilities here. We've got great music studios. We've got great organs here at Duquesne, as you know, Amanda. The chapel's got a beautiful new organ in it. The Spiritan Campus Ministry provides a home for a lot of these kind of practica experiences as well, and in addition to other local congregations. So we see students as hopefully being able to take a lot of the skills that they have here, and then to be able to implement them, whether it's songwriting or arranging, working with diverse musical groups in churches. As you know, you might have someone who plays violin, someone who plays saxophone, and someone who plays, the harmonica. How do you bring those 3 instruments together? And that's a real opportunity as well. So that's kind of the broad talking points about why this program and why now. But we really think it's a super program, a comprehensive program. Again, music preparation, theological preparation, to work in a variety of Christian denominations and Christian settings, ensembles, small groups, choirs, and so on.
You've mentioned that this is clearly a well-rounded and very practical program that's going to be coming through, which I personally think is great. I think it's going to give the students a lot of practical application classes, and then of course practical application in a church setting. I have to ask you, because I know I will get emails about it later. You've mentioned, of course, instrumentation, you've mentioned sound, you've mentioned all these different things. Are there any plans to incorporate any chant classes in the program?
That is a great question, and it's one of several that have come my direction already. And we do have some open windows right now, Amanda, where we can add elective courses, and that is one of the things that we're looking at. We actually have that tradition from our Master of Music and Sacred Music program, and so that would be very easy to implement. And I certainly see us being able to do that. The program is at 139 credits, so it's full, but we do have about 4 credits available where we could put in a 1 credit or 2 credit chant lab. And I believe that that is important, and it's some of the feedback that I've already had has been about that, and about service playing, which I did mention will be a part of it, and about organ as well, which we want students to have that experience. But yes, chant, I think definitely there's a place for that. And we've heard from our constituents already that that needs to be a part of that. So we are planning for that. I can't tell you where it's going to go yet, but we do have space in the curriculum for that.
Excellent. Great. If someone's listening and they want more information about the program, well, first of all, actually, before we even say that, so you mentioned people, if you're listening, you can apply for the program starting now, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We have rolling admissions, and so you can apply now for fall of 2022. And if you want to do that, the easiest place online is duq.edu/music admissions. Again, duq.edu/music admissions. And that will take you right to the web link where you we'll see about how to apply and what is available there, tours of the schools, the programs of study, and everything else. And then there are audition dates, instructions about how to audition and when you might audition. Some people might be thinking, man, Pittsburgh, it's too far away. You might be on the West Coast or farther south. We have virtual auditions. So one of the great benefits of Zoom and technology capacities is the ability to do virtual or hybrid auditions. So I am not exaggerating when I tell you that last Friday, we had an audition day, and we had a student at 1 p.m. Eastern time who was in Zambia at 8 o'clock his time auditioning on viola. We have a student, we have a student in January that we will hear at 8 a.m. our time, but it will be, I think, 9 p.m. In Beijing, China, where the student is. So we have that capacity to do the remote auditions. So if you're interested, duq.edu/music admissions. And then if you want to learn more about the program, you scroll down to where it says Bachelor of Music and Music Ministry. And there's a full description of the program there. And request for more information and discussion about the courses themselves and what does the minor in theology mean and all of those sorts of things. So you'll find all the details there. Okay,
great. Well, this was great, Steve. If I didn't attend Duquesne already for my undergrad, I would say that maybe I'd come back and do this program. But I am so grateful too. I was actually just emailing someone at Duquesne right before this. And they asked me, like, what makes you excited about this program? And I said that, first and foremost, I want to thank you because there are so few places that really do offer across the country, like you said, some type of sacred music or worship arts type of degree. So I thank you for that. And it is something that I really do think that music ministry is difficult because it requires a very high level of musical skill, but it also requires a high level of skills that you develop so that you can change things on the fly, if that makes sense, And so, I of course went through the sacred music program when I was there as an undergraduate, but the program that you're starting now, I think is just even more well-rounded for the practical day-to-day experience of a sacred musician. So thank you again for doing this. I'm really grateful that you guys at Duquesne are continuing to offer something like this.
Thank you. And when you and I performed together a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago, boy, it's gone quickly since then. We saw the importance of being able to respond in the middle of
Right.
the service to what's happening. Do we need to go through another time? And it's interesting to me that that whether you are in a Catholic setting, as we were in that moment, or you might go to a contemporary service from a Pentecostal tradition, there the same changing on the fly takes place. Let's do one more chorus. Let's do one more verse. Let's go back to the top of the piece. And there are some large churches where you actually have a worship coordinator who is off the side of the platform, who is speaking into the earphones of the people who are singing or playing, saying, we're going to do one more chorus, or we're going to do one more verse.
Mm-hmm.
And those are your largest churches, but that does take place. And so the ability to improvise, not just in the moment, but to actually know how to improvise on the instrument is also important. So how do you read music that's from a choral octavo? How do you read music that's in tablature? How do you read music that's a lead sheet or a chord chart? You know, there's several different ways of even knowing how to read music or how to notate music. And the modern worship musician has to do that. I'm thinking last Sunday in the evening, we had our Christmas concert at our church. And in that concert, I played both the cello, which is my primary instrument, and then I also played the electric bass, and then a keyboard bass. And the notation was in some cases completely written out. In some cases, it was a lead sheet. In some cases, it was just chord chart. In other cases, I just do my own shorthand. And so you don't necessarily, you have to be multilingual, not just
Right.
in styles, but also in
Right.
notation.
Right,
So,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
actually, another thing that happens very often with pastoral musicians is, again, I'll just speak for myself, but I, in past years, have had funeral cantors in particular, like where the family comes to us and says, we have a loved one that wants to sing at the funeral. And of course, we say yes and make sure that they're as included as we can. But I've
right.
had people in the past say to me, oh, I'm not a trained singer. I'm singing at my aunt's funeral, and that's way too high. That song is way too high. You're going to need to
Right.
transpose it for me. And so the skill of sight transposing for me has been one of the most important skills. And I distinctly remember learning that in my service playing class at Duquesne.
Yeah.
And so it's that type of skill. And also, one more thing, I remember that there was pushback. I mean, as a student, there was pushback when we had sight transposition, for example, because I
That's
remember a classmate of mine saying, who's ever going to need that? We're always going to have our music in advance. But man, let me tell you, Steve,
that's right.
I have used that skill. Sight reading and sight transposition, two skills I distinctly remember learning at Duquesne in service playing that I use on a regular basis. So it's those type of things that, I mean, again, like I do think that that in particular is a very unique skill set that sacred musicians need to have, being competent in so many different styles and also being flexible enough with our skills to, again, adapt to whatever's needed in the situation, which can be fluctuating and changing. So anyway, I that's all to say this has been wonderful. And I'm so grateful that you guys are starting this program and kind of reshaping what it looks like. And I hope if you're listening, if you have any students or young people that has been considering pastoral music, but they don't really know where to go or what to do, please check out the program. I'm not just saying that. I will tell you that it was a huge transformation for me. And now with this program, I really do think that it would be a great place for a young person to enter into formation, both musically and of course spiritually. So
That's
yeah.
that's well said, Amanda. I really agree with that. And I am thinking as you're talking about all the skills that we need, and there's, one of the challenges is that in 4 years, even with your best efforts, it's difficult to prepare somebody for every situation that they might encounter.
Right.
And I think about you and I, and I'm significantly older than you are, but I think about the changes that you and I have both seen in churches, right, in our lifetimes. And I'm still learning things. I'm still learning,
Mm.
new nomenclature, new language.
Mhm.
We are
Mhm.
now resurrecting many old hymns and old
Yeah.
chants and right and bringing them back. And so it's not even that, okay, this is the complete product now at the end of 4 years. One of our goals is to say, okay, you're going to be prepared with the foundation that you need to continue learning. And so we
Mm.
know that summer development experiences, we know that worship conference, pastoral musician conferences, such as your organization runs, are so important. The summer training academies and experiences that you have, those are important for ongoing professional development. But yeah, it's an important thing. And uh, we also want the students to say, okay, when I get out there, I didn't anticipate this situation, but now I have a network to connect with. I have a professor to connect with, and she or he might be able to guide me or put me with somebody else. And that's why the internships are so important, right? Because the students will get out, and we'd like them to see some of the mega churches and how they operate. But your average congregation is under 100 people. That's more of a typical parish, right? And a typical congregation. It's not going to be the big ones. So how does it look like, or what does it look like? And in some cases, you need to have multiple skill sets, and sometimes that includes tuning the piano, which we actually have a piano tuning class. Now that I think about it, it's not part of the degree program, but
Really?
we offer piano tuning, and we have
Oh,
lots of students who take that.
yeah.
So David Barr, our Steinway technician here, teaches that class, and it's a great class. So we've had many students do that. But how do I plug things in? How does amplification work? Um, Hopefully, you don't have to clean too many, do too much custodial work. But sometimes you end up printing programs or printing bulletins or
Oh,
things like
yeah.
that. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. Well, Steve, thank you so much for your time, not just today, but clearly your work on this program. Thank you so much for advocating for us in sacred music and bringing this new degree to the table with the hopes that again, we just continue to focus on forming the youth in front of us so that they can continue to help and lead the church with prayerful but high-level ministry and music.
thank you. It's my pleasure, and I don't say that lightly. It really has been an effort of joy, and and one in which I can't wait to see students serving in local congregations who feel prepared and frankly can really help meet the needs and support the work of our pastors and our priests and others who are shepherding, doing the large work of shepherding. And thank you to you as well, Amanda, and to National Pastoral Musicians, and to those of you who are listening and feeling sometimes like you're alone in the middle of all of this. Just know that you're not, and the work that you are doing, whether in a large congregation or a small congregation or an urban area or rural area or internationally, to know that the work that you are doing is so important, and we do it all for the glory of God. And so I really wish you all the best. And just if you want to reach out, please don't hesitate. At Duquesne, DUQ again, duq.edu, music admissions, or you can email me directly. It's okay to share my email address, Amanda?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's Benham, that's B like boy, EN like Nancy, HAM like Mary, at duq.edu. So Benham at duq.edu.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve, again. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll see you later.
Okay.